Okay, this is a walkthrough of how to do a diamond shaped mount for deer antlers. Um, you have the antlers that are set inside the 2x4 piece, and I use dowels to hold the antler to the 2x4. I use dowels. Let me zoom, go in right here, you can see it. I use dowels to hold the shell, but if it's a rifle case, you can change it so it holds. So what I use for the backing is just a 1/4 inch pine board. I use four, let's see, 3/4, I think it's 1.5 inch Hillman wood screws. And what I did, sometimes the wood can be real nitpicky and you use a wood screw and it can still crack. So I actually pre-drilled the holes, made sure that the holes are actually a little bit smaller than the diameter of these screws. And then I screwed this 1-inch pine board to a 2x4. Let me turn it around here. This 2x4 is not your pressure treated. I actually went to a lumber company and got kiln treated lumber, so your wood is not wet and your screws actually hold instead of keep sinking down and eventually works itself loose. So I would highly recommend kiln treated lumber since it's dry. So what I did, of course, let me work for mounting on the wall. I just used a good frame bracket here. It's got teeth, and to get it straight, I just drew a line corner to corner, find my middle part, and then run up and get it lined up straight so it sits correctly on the wall. Now for the antlers, what I did was I bought a 1/4 inch oak dowels. Actually, I think I bought 2 of them just in case I needed the wood. But I drilled a 1-inch holes into both antlers, and then I drilled, I think it was 2 3/4. Yeah, 2 3/4 holes into the 2x4. But the way I made sure that these sat correctly is I got it lined. I took one at a time, make sure it lined up correctly, and then I just took a straight edge, drew a line, and then made sure when I drilled the wood, the bit was drilling straight. It wasn't leaning back. It wasn't leaning to the left or right. Same thing with the antler. You got to make sure it's drilled straight. And then I took epoxy at the 1-inch mark, rubbed it around the dowel, insert it into the hole, and did both that way, let them sit overnight, come back the next day, and then coat the exposed dowel in epoxy and then slid it inside the hole. This antler was heavier and it just wanted to turn on me, so I just set something underneath it to hold it in position. And then to hold my shell, I drilled 1-inch holes into the 2x4, and then I measured the diameter of the shell, and I made sure the dowel sit at that diameter. And I just took a marker and colored it in green because I was wanting to match this rub mark, because when I killed this buck, he had just rubbed, I think it was a mountain laurel bush, and it was actually a lighter green than this. I didn't have a marker that light, and the rub actually faded away, so that's why I colored that in. I was kind of trying to match this, but now looking back, I would have just left this plain wood. So I made sure, again, coat what's going inside the wood with epoxy, make sure it stays. And actually, to make sure it holds the shell or the case, what you want to do is make the distance inside of this dowel, to be slightly shorter than the shell or slightly shorter than the case. Same thing with here, inside of this dowel, are slightly shorter than the diameter. So when you have these in, you're actually going to have to cram the shell or cram the casing inside the dowels, and that will hold it. That will keep it from falling out. And then to finish off, I just took Minwax red mahogany stain, and I think it's a, yeah, there's not a finish for that, but coated it twice. And then I took Minwax polyurethane fast drying satin, and finished it off to protect it. Now, of course, you want to put the stain on and everything before you put your antlers in, and before you put your shell in. So, I don't think there's anything else I need to walk through. I can't remember. Now, I can say that when you're putting in your epoxy, make sure you keep it clean, because you can let something dry, and especially in these tight spots, it can be hard to get excess epoxy. But that's my walkthrough of the I call it a diamond shaped antler mount. So hope that helps y'all.